All information contained in this podcast is general in nature and does not consider your individual circumstances. You should consider the appropriateness of this information with regards to your individual objectives, financial situation, and needs. Welcome to Sharing More Than the Sheets, a podcast to help you and your partner make better financial and lifestyle decisions so that you can both focus on the things that you love. I'm your host, Michael Khouri, financial planner, green thumb, husband, and just dad. This segment is called Michael's Magic Moment. It's my opportunity to play a little snippet from one of our previous episodes which resonated with our listeners, that I received feedback from, or I felt really had an impact on some people's lives. Hope you enjoy. This week I go back to an episode which I did back in 2022 called 8 Money Habits That You Need to Break. And I go through 8 habits that I see regularly as a financial advisor where I've seen people make mistakes when it comes to money. And for me, I see the same pattern over and over again. I'm a culprit of some of these things. We are human. We all make mistakes. But it's very important to point them out. And it's very important to make it very obvious and very clear to those out there listening to this. Hey, look, it's not just you. And yes, this is an issue. Now, I go through a few different habits. I go through 8 of them. In this episode, I go through not all of them, but a couple which I won't be playing now are essentially managing money well, impulse shopping, essentially watching your spending habits. The rest that I'm about to go through after this do relate to habits, of course, but at the same time, they're things that you probably may listen to and be like, you know what, this is actually what I do. It's important to understand our habits. We all have bad habits. We all do things wrong. We all we make mistakes, and it's important to understand that. And it's important as a couple to recognize that nobody is perfect. Yes, one person may have more habits than the other, or yes, one person may have different habits to the other. But at the end of the day, the benefit of working out these things and the benefit of talking about it is just that you'll hopefully be able to manage money better and achieve your goals better. It may minimize arguments. It may maximize savings and great decisions. Either way, here are some money habits that you need to break. Feel free to listen to the rest of the episode if you feel like you got something out of this. And please continue to send me messages, feedback, topics, ideas of topics. And guess what? Our next episode is episode 200, and I can't wait to share it with you. Buying things on credit when you don't need to. So I'm not going to mention names of any popular systems where you buy something and you pay for it later, but some of them could literally just be for a pair of shoes, and it doesn't make sense to spend money that you don't have. Now, again, if there's a strategy around it, if it's for tax purposes or investment purposes, or you are buying something that you really need and you don't have the money for it, but it's justified, then it's different. But when you're literally just buying something because you want it now and you can't wait 2 weeks, then that's not a good habit, because it's also creating a pattern which can lead you down the pathway of destruction. The 6th one is not saving money at all, even if you can actually afford it. Now, all of us should be saving money. Now, there are some circumstances where money can't be saved if a budget is extremely tight, and I've got some clients now where we have a plan in place to get them to a position where they can start saving money very quickly. But if you're not saving money, especially when the money is literally there, then that's not a good habit, because you'll find yourself in a position where you'll look back in 5 or 10 years and just really regret not doing that. Because if money's not saved, it's spent. And if it doesn't need to be spent, then it's being wasted. There's nothing wrong with buying nice things. There's nothing wrong with spoiling yourself. But when you're regularly not saving money at all, then again, it's a bad habit that needs to be addressed. You need a strategy in place. And as an advisor, it's something I talk to my clients about. My job is to hold them accountable. My job is to come up with a strategy to save money. And if this can be done successfully, it can make such a big difference to your life financially. And just like any of these habits, once you train yourself and once you get into the habit of doing something or not doing something, that then becomes a new habit. And it goes from being a bad habit financially to a good habit. The seventh one is hoarding money. So when you've got money that you're literally just saving up in a bank account and you're doing literally nothing with, that can also be a bad habit, believe it or not. Because the issue with having too much savings is, first of all, there could be money sitting somewhere which, from a financial point of view, could be utilized better somewhere else. And secondly, sometimes there could be, I know people, I've met many before that literally just save and save and save and save, and they don't spend anything on themselves, and they don't enjoy their wealth. They don't enjoy their savings. They just save for the sake of it. They're literally hoarding money. And again, that's also a bad habit, because I've talked about this before, but it's so important to have a balance, and so important to have a process in place, or just a balance, because you don't want to spend too much money and blow all your money. And at the same time, you don't want to hoard money and just keep it there, because, unless you have some way of taking it with you to the grave, then it's not going to do anyone any good. So hoarding money can also be an issue. And I've talked about this before, but it's sometimes giving yourself permission to spend money on yourself, to whether it's on your health, whether it's a hobby that you have, whether it's even just socializing and meeting people if you're not socializing enough. But doing these things can make a very, very big difference. And the eighth habit is not listening to yourself and not listening to those around you. So many times in our life, we are in denial about certain things. Now, whether our partner tells us that we need to watch our spending, or we need to invest, or we need to see a financial advisor, or sometimes we'll have friends or even have a financial advisor that's giving us advice, and we're not listening to that person. The last thing anyone should do is be in a position where they're being given advice. There are people around them who want to help them, and they're just not listening. They think that everything is okay, or they think that things can't change. But by understanding our weaknesses, and by understanding what we can be doing better, we can do the opposite of fail and succeed. We can make the most of what we have. And I talk about this all the time. My practice better financial planning has the motto of feel better, do better, be better. And I never get that order right. I think it's do better, be better, and feel better. But it makes sense, because when you do better, you feel better. And if you can look at your habits, if you can even focus on one of these things I've mentioned in this episode, I promise you it will make a difference. And just like any situation, or just like any person's personal circumstance that I've ever come across, when you work on one thing, you'll then work on the next, just naturally. And then the next, and then the next. And then it'll just build momentum. And then you'll be positive. And you'll feel like you just want to keep growing, and you want to keep doing better. And once you understand these habits, or understand what you're doing wrong, you can also then focus on what you're doing right, and hopefully crush as many habits as you possibly can. Thanks for joining us on Sharing More Than the Sheets. Please make sure you subscribe to be updated with future episode releases, and feel free to share this episode with any friends or family that you think it might benefit. Please visit us at sharingmorethanthesheets.com.au to submit questions or requests for future podcast topics. These podcasts have been brought to you by Better Financial Planning Australia. To book a 15-minute phone chat, visit betterfinancialplanning.com.au.